So I recently got asked this question on my Instagram page from someone saying, Ross, for us young filmmakers, does video equipment help with credibility in getting the first job? And I want to dive into that because it's a very, very good question. And through the Perspective Academy, I deal with obviously training a lot of aspiring filmmakers and already established businesses to take them to that next level. And I see this a lot where a lot of new people put so much emphasis on the importance of buying new camera gear, and they feel like they have no credibility, and that's because they're basically suffering from imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is when you really start to doubt yourself. You think that you're not the right person for the job. And especially when we come to justify our prices and actually charging for our work, because there's a level of enjoyment out of creating amazing videos and creating videos and photography for that matter, anything creatively, because we enjoy doing that, it feels really hard for us to put a price alongside that. So what we generally do is we gravitate towards investing in equipment, one because a lot of us are really tech people and we absolutely love what's on offer with new cameras and what those things can do, and it will enhance the quality of your work. But we kind of jump straight to that in order to justify our prices, because then you think, well, you know, if you're charging £100, £200, £300, £500 a day, you can be like, well, I've got the best camera equipment. But does your client actually care about those things? And for a lot of people, unfortunately, the opposite is true, where they spend a lot of money on camera equipment. One guy that I mentor particularly has spent over £10,000 in new camera equipment, but yet has no work from it yet. So I want to dive in a little bit deeper as to the reasons why behind that and just some considerations, because yeah, definitely if you've got good camera gear, that's going to help your portfolio, and your portfolio is going to help you get sales, but you just need to be very, very careful of what you're investing in and understanding your audience and understanding the ability that you have. I think a lot of people are very quick to upgrade their cameras before they actually are at that skill level where they've exceeded everything that they can do with their current camera as a base level before upgrading. They're very quick just to think that the camera's the problem, not investing in their own learning and understanding that as well. And on that note, one of my obviously hot topics, one of my favorite things to talk about is the fact that actual skills with a camera probably only makes up 40% of what it takes to run a successful business as a freelancer or even as a production company. The rest of it is all business knowledge. It's about knowing how to manage sales, how to handle meetings, how to handle systems and structures and call sheets and all of these things to create a stable business, to keep clients coming back to you. Because a lot of the time what happens with freelancers is they do these one-off projects time and time again, and there's not much repeat custom there. So it's about creating a solid foundation so that you've always got repeat business, so that you can guarantee your income, and that's what makes a really big difference. Now, if I was going to ask you a question, that would be, if I gave you a £100,000 camera, let's say I gave you an Arri or a Red camera or something like that, as an amateur filmmaker, could you make the best quality content that you've ever seen? Could you make the next Nike commercial? Could you make the next Audi commercial? And I mean Audi is in the car brand as well, but even so, the supermarket as well. Would that camera enable you to do that, yes or no? Now, for a lot of you, if you're answering that truthfully, the answer is going to be no. Now, will it provide you with better quality work, yes or no? Yeah, of course it will. It's going to provide you with better quality, but your skills need to be equally matched to your camera. So I would suggest spending just as much time with the camera, growing with it as you possibly can if you're starting out, because it gives you time to learn about the settings, learn about changing and adapting and doing these things quickly, because once you start to get employed on these various shoots, you're going to need to be able to adapt to any kind of circumstance and changing environments. For most people, a lot of projects generally tend to be run and gun, which means that you will show up to the shoot with your camera equipment, you'll film one thing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing, and you'll constantly be changing. There's not always that much time to set up lighting or things like that that will kind of help your overall video. So you need to be really good at changing settings and knowing what you can do and what you can get out of a camera before you necessarily upgrade. And that's really difficult as a filmmaker, because I often always ask myself these two questions. Will it make my work better, or will it make my team's work better? Will it make our job easier and quicker, aka more efficient, because time is money? And if the answer is yes to both of those, it's really hard to not go and invest in that piece of equipment. But you also then need to think about one other question, and that is, are your clients paying more for that? Now, of course, if you're just starting out and you're currently charging, let's say, £100 a day or maybe £200 for a video project or something like that, then of course, as you get better, as your portfolio increases, as your quality of work gets better, you'll be able to charge more, and that is very true. You'll be able to move up through those ranks and be able to work for a lot more prestigious brands with higher budgets and things like that. And those things take time, and that's important to understand, because to be a good filmmaker, it's really made up of three major components that create a successful business. One is your actual ability as a filmmaker or as a creative to your skill level within that department. One part of that is your equipment as well, and that only becomes a problem if you're being held back truly by your equipment. Your skill level is as high as it can be for what you have, and therefore you need to invest in equipment. And the other part of that is your business acumen, your ability to look after clients, to go out there and pitch to clients, to be able to secure those business deals, and also to keep those people coming back. And those three parts as a triangle do make up a successful filmmaker. And in the middle, that basically enables you to grow as a person. That's what dictates your day rates and enables you to scale up your business and gives you an amazing portfolio. And what creatives do for the most part is they lack the business knowledge, they are mildly talented, and they go and invest all of their money into equipment. And when they invest their money into equipment, that triangle becomes very weighted and they still can't get as much work. They might be getting slightly more work for whatever reason. Perhaps someone's actually actively looking for that camera. But in my experience, they're generally not. Some production companies will request certain types of cameras. That is a given, but that only really happens at the top end. And when you've built your portfolio as a talented filmmaker, again, if I gave you that £100,000 camera and you weren't able to produce what I thought was £100,000 worth of quality content, then I'm still not going to pick you just because you've got the best camera. Does that make sense now? So you need to be kind of equal in all of these places to be able to, one, outreach, speak to businesses, speak to production companies, and have that recurring revenue to actually give you the finances to invest in the equipment without going into any kind of debt. But you only need to invest in equipment once your skill set is up high enough with the equipment that you've got and you really genuinely feel like you're being held back. So if we go back to the original question of, does good camera equipment help build you credibility in getting your first job? The answer is no, because generally speaking, if you're doing your first job or your first few jobs and you're just starting out, you're charging low rates anyway. And the reason you're charging low rates is because then it's less of a risk to the client. Because you don't have a portfolio, you have nothing to really show them. So the client has no idea whether or not you're any good or not. So it's mainly about how much you're charging for that kind of person. Now, when you get up to our kind of level or to filmmakers who are really established, have amazing portfolios, then you can almost charge whatever you want. And then it does become to be a little bit more about how credible you are as a brand. But again, I don't think I've ever had any company ask us what cameras we use and if that's necessary, because they've looked at our portfolio and we've had those conversations and they know that if they go with us, this is the level of work that they're going to be getting as a result. And that's the same as you're starting out as well. They're going to look at your work and know that that's the level of work they're going to get as a result as well. So it is really to do mainly with your portfolio, your business mindset to be able to deal with these clients and customers, and then equipment very much does come at the very end of it. And likewise, if I was to ask you this, if I was to give some of the best filmers in the world the cheapest camera, could they make some amazing content? Of course they could, and that's because their skill set is much higher. They're able to do amazing things because they've learned about camera techniques, they've learned about all these different things as well. But often what I see with those people, they lack the business mindset to actually get clients through the door and make those sales. Now, one final thing I just want to touch on here is day rates and actually having that confidence. So I spoke at the beginning of this video about imposter syndrome. And that's something that we're all guilty of at some point, is not feeling like we are worth anything as well. And because we enjoy the job, it's hard to think like, oh my God, would someone really pay £200 for this? For our position, is someone really going to pay £2,000 for this project or more or less or whatever? And that imposter syndrome can start to creep in, and it's a really, really bad and negative effect that can actually be the reason why a lot of filmmakers don't succeed. You need to go out there and get it, but you need to have confidence as well. And it's not confidence in your camera gear, it's confidence in your ability that you can do a good job. And when you start to have that confidence and you start to understand the process, your business knowledge starts to build up more. So those parts of the triangle, your business part starts to grow. And as you start to understand sales and marketing and all of those things that go into actually getting the client in the first place, as that grows and your ability grows, then you'll have the cash flow to be able to invest in equipment. So I've got one saying that I'm going to end this whole video on, and that is this: get the best clients first, then get the best equipment. That's how I've always run my business. That's how we've been able to scale it very quickly, because we've been focused on the business mindset, the skill level, getting those best clients first, having the best portfolio, and then investing in camera gear. And your portfolio will always be increasing. It will always be getting better and better. And that's why I personally don't like show reels, because it's almost like, this is what we've done over the last year. These are the best shots, but really your last shoot should always be one of your best shoots. So that makes it really, really difficult. And especially when you work for high profile brands where you're not allowed to disclose until the video is released that you worked on it, you can be sitting on these things for months without actually being able to show anyone. So that's a really interesting mindset strategy that you need to kind of shy away from. Your portfolio is always growing, that's completely fine, but definitely focus on your skill and your business mindset first before investing in equipment, and you will definitely see the return on investment in the long term much more than you will do investing in your best camera or your favorite camera just because you want it, and being in a situation where you can't actually pay for that camera or you can't cover the debt that you're in as a result of investing in that new gear. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please let me know in the comments what you thought. If there's any other videos that you want to see on this channel, then let me know as well, because I'm always happy to reply to everyone who comments on this channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and until next time, I'll see you then. Peace.